Boston Red Sox returned to the postseason for the first time since 2021 and were quickly dealt with by the New York Yankees. Now, with an important offseason to fix the holes on the roster, will the Red Sox be able to take this team to the next level? Hello, my name is Avery Taylor, and welcome to Rebuild October, a series where we rebuild a new team every day across the month of October. So, whether you're looking for your favorite team or just generally curious as to how every team should approach the offseason, then this is the series for you. And with that being said, let's jump right into the video. As you can see from the war by position, this team has some definitive strengths as well as some places on the roster that could be better. The outfield is incredible and only getting better with a full season from Roman Anthony, while first base and the back end of the rotation could use a close look this offseason. However, before we can talk about the potential additions, we have to talk about the impending free agents. The Red Sox are faced with 5 unrestricted free agents, 1 potential opt-out, 1 club option, and 2 mutual options. None of those decisions are bigger than Alex Bregman, who has officially opted out of his contract to hit free agency as an unrestricted free agent. 95% of the MLB would be better with Alex Bregman as their starting third baseman, so it should be priority number 1 to get him back in town this offseason. His swing is built beautifully for Fenway, and he can continue to be that veteran leader that they need. While I do believe he will hit the open market, Boston seems like the best fit, and a place where he can get his money. Trevor Story has the ability to opt out of the remaining 2 years of his deal, allowing him to hit the free market. While Story was able to show more of his old self in 2025 and actually stayed healthy across the entire season, there is virtually no world where Story isn't on this team for next season. Another technical contract is Jarren Duran, who has a club option for $8 million. Realistically, Duran should be back no matter what happens. There's a lot of trade rumors swirling, but he's just so solid, and whether they want to try arbitration or not, the Red Sox should bring back Duran. Lucas Giolito's decision is much muddier. He has a mutual option for $19 million for the 2026 season, and after putting together a solid 26 starts of 3.41 ERA, it is actually a decent price for both sides. However, late into the season, Giolito had another elbow injury and ended up not being as drastic as initially thought, but for a lot of teams, 2 elbow injuries in 2 years is an instant write-off, and thus the Red Sox will probably move on. And the final mutual option is for Liam Hendriks. Can the world give this guy a break? Since the start of the 2023 season, Hendriks has beat cancer, underwent Tommy John surgery, came back from that, and then had hip inflammations 14 appearances into the season, and while trying to come back for that for the playoffs, had forearm soreness which led to an ulnar nerve transposition surgery. I'd love the storyline of him coming back, but it'll have to be elsewhere because the Boston Red Sox will not be picking up his option. The player the team will bring back is Justin Wilson. There isn't really much to be said here. He's just a solid left-handed relief pitcher for the Boston Red Sox and would be a welcome back into this bullpen. As for the rest of the free agents, the Red Sox will see them out the door. Ref Snyder is probably the biggest loss of the bunch, but he'll probably move on to a bigger role. For prospects the Red Sox will have to consider for 2026, there are only 2 with both being left-handed pitchers. Peyton Tolley made his debut last season and it didn't exactly go to plan. Across 7 appearances mixed between starting and relieving, he had a 6.06 ERA. He was actually considerably better as a reliever where he could let that big-time fastball and slider eat, but ultimately that's not the goal for Tolley, and for that we're going to have to start him in the minor leagues at the beginning of the season. For every misfortune that Tolley had, Cornelia Early was able to rectify it by posting a 2.33 ERA across 4 starts, and he was even trusted to start Game 3 in the postseason. He doesn't have that loud fastball, but his slider and changeup are deadly, and he has a high floor as a back-end starter. Adding a tick or 2 of velo would do a lot for his game, but that is easier said than done. Either way, that solid end of the season will earn him a spot on the 2026 Boston Red Sox and their rotation. If you're wondering where Jostinson Garcia is, then you should have watched my Kansas City Royals rebuild because you know that he is on the move alongside Brandon Clark and Mikey Romero in exchange for Chris Bubich. Trade for Bubich feels eerily similar to the Crochet trade a year prior, especially when you consider it's a reliever turned starter that had excellent results in a smaller sample. Bubich was able to make the All-Star game, post a 2.55 ERA, and rarely gets taken yard. He would form an excellent 1-2 punch atop the Boston Red Sox rotation, something they were missing, especially come playoff time. Sticking with the rotation, we'll go out of order a little bit this time, with Brian Bayo returning to the starting rotation as well as Cutter Crawford. Bayo is a solid middle of the rotation pick, while the decision for Crawford over Tolley and Patrick Sandoval coming off injury was because the rotation was getting a little left-handed heavy. As for the lineup, they will return Carlos Narvaez behind the dish, Trevor Story at second, with Marcelo Meyer at shortstop, Roman Anthony in left field, with Wilyer Abreu platooning versus righties in right field, and Masataka Yoshida platooning at DH. On the bench, they will return Cedon Rafaela as that super utility defensive replacement, platooning versus left-handers. Romy Gonzalez also platooning versus left-handers at first base, and David Hamilton as that defensive replacement slash pinch runner. That leaves a hole at first base, as well as a spot on the bench as a backup catcher, and for that, the Red Sox will turn back to free agency. At first base, the team will welcome back Nathaniel Lowe. This will come after they non-tender him and then sign him back to a smaller contract. Lowe was much improved in his time in Boston and is a solid platoon with Gonzalez. He provided some much needed stability at first base for the Sox after constant injuries at the position. And for the final position player, they'll go out and sign Mitch Garver. Garver can fill out that pseudo backup catcher slash left-handed matching platoon at DH that this roster is in need of. His numbers dipped a bit during his time in Seattle, but it could be a time for the Red Sox to get a steal. He is still hitting lefties at a good clip and can give Narvaez that occasional day off. For the bullpen, it'll look very familiar with Aroldis Chapman back as the closer, Garrett Whitlock, Greg Weiser, Brennan Bernardino, Josh Winkowski, Jordan Hicks, and Patrick Sandoval as a long reliever. And that's going to do it for the rebuild. I think this rebuild gives this team all the key points that they need to hit this offseason. They need Bregman. They need a true number 2 starting pitcher, and they need to figure out first base. And if they can do that, they'll be really dangerous in the American League.